regulatory bodies will place some regulations on what should be done and what not should be done on certain facilities. So it is it is our duty as facility managers to ensure that these regulations are adhered to, and then we comply with facility manager regulations. So that is basically what regulatory compliance is. Then building code. If you talk about codes, we talk about the things that also are in line to the objectives of what we are doing on the particular facility we are managing. So I think at this point, the screen can be shared now. All right. So let's start by talking about what really building codes are and why they matter. What are building codes and why do they even matter in facility management? Building codes are legal standards that govern construction, safety, and occupancy of structures. They say legal standards, so they have to do with regulations as well. They have to do with laws that governs construction, safety, and occupancy of the structures. They protect public health, safety, and welfare by setting minimum requirements. So let's take a closer look at protection of public health, safety, and welfare. So let's say we have a facility where there is no rule, there's no regulation, everyone comes in and do whatever they do. It's actually going to be very chaotic. And then one thing about chaos is there's little or no adherence to safety rules. So anything can happen. So building codes gives us a structured pattern of how we should act and behave and things that should happen within a facility. So it is telling us that yes, let's assume you want to build it, you want to construct a skyscraper, like a 10-story building. The type of foundation you would use, the type of foundation that would carry a 10-story building is different from when you just want to do a bungalow. So these are what you're talking about, welfare by setting minimum requirements. So there are minimum requirements to things. And then as you advance, so the requirement changes. So that's what he's talking about as protect public health, safety, and welfare by setting minimum safety, fire safety, ventilation, accessibility, and energy efficiency. So just in line with what I talk about structural integrity. So you have to ensure that what you are even doing is standard. So it is working in the code of regulatory agency or body guiding the type of facility you are managing. And let's move to the next slide, historical context and evolution of regulations. Building codes originated as responses to disaster, such as fire and structural collapse. What is this talking about? So over time, there might be disaster, there might be mishap in the facility or just around wherever we are. Then people now start Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead, Mr. Chinedu.
Okay, yeah, sorry about this disruption. So we are still talking about the historical context and evolution of the regulations. So we talked about building codes originated as a response to disaster, such as fire, structural collapse, and a lot of them that you might think about. So I was saying that um, as a result of structural disaster.
Gotten a job from NI facility facility that I'm currently managing as a facility manager, and I so enjoyed the training, the team. I got to know about Max-Migold in year 2020 when they put up some NI flyers an e-flyer. I saw an e-flyer that talked about facility management training, and it's something I've always shown interest. I've been looking out for what I can do differently as an architect to build myself and add value to myself. Then I got to know about Max-Migold. I followed through, and I had a 2 days free training session with Max-Migold, and from there I got so much interest in building my career as a facility manager, and they have helped me. I've gone through the full training, and I'm a graduate of Max-Migold. I appreciate that, and they have been wonderful. They have added so much value to my career, and it has been an excellent walkthrough with Max-Migold. Thank you.
My name is Peter Lawa, a facility manager with Triumph Properties and Facility Management, a graduate of FMMC Batch 12, of which prior to that I was a graduate of Physics with Electronics. It's funny when you hear physics and facility management. That shows what facility management can do to you. Coming into this, when I took the course, the 3 months Mastercraft class, which was quite intense and very eye-opening. I came into the course with the intention of learning more pending when I will be getting fully employed, because prior to the program I was still in the job market trying to get somewhere to work. So fast forward to the class, I went through a lot, and this kind of broadened my perspective to the everyday activities and everyday objects I see around me. There are opportunities, there are all these things matter, right from the fabric of the material used in painting, decorating, even right off the dust on the table, cleaning.
My name is Amaka Anasi, and before the facility management diploma, Mastercraft diploma, I was working in the Labour School as a facility manager. I heard about the diploma and I attended the free training first because I wasn't sure if I wanted to do the diploma. So the free training convinced me this was it. So I registered for the diploma. It has been worth it. Very
Hello, everyone. Sorry, it's really very tiring. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Hello?
yes, I can hear you, but the network. Yes, I can hear
Hello?
you. Hello, yeah, I can hear you.
I don't know if I'm audible enough. I don't know if someone can hear me.
Mr. Chinedu,
Yes, we
I
can
can
hear
hear
you,
you.
sir.
So I was talking about building codes, how it originated. Then early codes focused on basic safety, evolving over time to address health and environmental concerns. So this is telling us that in the early days, building codes basically was focused upon the environmental concerns. How is the waste your facility is releasing affecting the environment? So this is what these are just historical facts as to how regulations evolved over time. Then modern regulations incorporate accessibility, sustainability, and energy efficiency. So recently, almost every time you come online, you see sustainability. With the recent United Nations incorporating sustainability as one of their SDGs. So almost everything is now talking about sustainability. So regulations also has to tilt towards sustainability as well. So ensuring that facility managers and every concerned stakeholder puts up plan to ensure that their facility is sustainable and also is part of the sustainable development goals. Then advancement in technology and materials have influenced update in standards. And it goes further to tell you that regulations continue to evolve to meet new risks like climate change and smart buildings. So as you also know, recently we are talking about artificial intelligence, augmented reality, Internet of Things, smart buildings, as to guide the new inventions that are coming on. So if we look at what is currently happening over the internet, AI, so you can barely even see, you can barely recognize videos that are real and the ones that are AI generated. So there has to be regulations as well that guides creation of content with artificial intelligence. That also has to do, so bringing it back to facility management. So as there are new inventions in the built environment, there has to be regulations also to guide these inventions. So where there is no law, where there is no rules and regulations, everything can go into chaos. So that's what this is talking about. Regulations continue to evolve to meet new risks like climate changes and smart building systems. So we'll move to the next slide. Fire safety, electrical, plumbing, HVAC, and structural standards. Here, we are basically saying that fire safety codes mandate alarms, sprinklers, exits, and fire-resistant materials to protect lives. Where we are talking about codes originating as a result of safety. Then electrical standards ensure safe installation, load capacity, and protection against shock of fire. Earlier when I was given an instance to something, I talked about how you want to, the type of cables that you might use for different type of buildings you want to maybe lay your cables or wire for your electrical installations. So this is basically telling you that electrical standards ensure safe installation, load capacity, and protection against shock. And I talked about how you want to, the type of cables that you might use for different type of buildings you want to maybe lay your cables or wire for your electrical installations. So this is basically telling you that electrical standards ensure safe installation. I can hear myself when I talked about how you want to, the type of cables that you might use for different type of buildings you want to maybe lay your cables or wire plumbing for electrical installation. Govern clean water supply. I can hear myself when I talked about how you want to, the type of cables that you might use for different type of buildings you want to maybe lay your cables or wire plumbing for electrical installation. Govern clean water supply. I can hear myself when I talked about how you want to, the type of cables that you might use for different type of buildings you want to maybe lay your cables or wire please, can you still hear me? I can hear myself. I can hear myself when I talked about how you want to, the type of cables that you might use for different type of buildings you want to maybe lay your cables or wire please, can you still Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
There's a lot of echo. I was actually hearing everything I was saying.
Oh, okay.
All right. So we were talking about fire safety, electrical, plumbing, HVAC, and industrial standards. So I said plumbing codes govern clean water supply, drainage, and waste disposal to prevent contamination. We talk about the things that are required during plumbing installation. So where we have to, before now, the most used type of pipe in our plumbing system is PVC. So over time, it was realized that PVC basically has a lot of issues. It can easily get damaged, then cause a lot of flooding in your apartment, even conduit plumbing. So people now start inventing, and we have PPR that is more durable, that can last longer. So this is just what plumbing code is telling you about. So the type of materials you have to use for supply of water, waste disposal, drainage system, in all these things, is just basically to ensure that there is prevention in the in contamination. HVAC regulations, safety system operation. So this is about HVAC, so heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. So these regulations basically promotes the type of air quality that you have indoors. It's not of standard that you have foul air within an office environment or even inside a residential apartment. So these are the regulations that are guiding HVAC provision and maintenance. So structural codes guarantee the building strength, stability, and resistance to natural forces. Some time ago, we were talking about the Burj Khalifa building in Dubai. So there are a lot of codes, a lot of structural codes that were put in place. So this is basically for structural engineers. They know a lot about this. There are a lot of structural codes that were considered before the erection of such a skyscraper to ensure that it has natural disaster would really have a little or no effect on it. So these are times you have to consider the type of structure you have to put in. You consider the type of structural code that best suits it. So like I was saying, the type of foundation you would have for just your small a one-story building is different from what you will have when you are constructing those 12 that putting a bridge over a sea is different from the type of construction you have when you're just building a bridge on the surface of on ordinary ground. So these are where you have to consider structural codes. So we'll move to the next slide, accessibility and energy efficiency requirements. Accessibility code ensure inclusive design for individuals with disabilities. Example, ramps, signage, restrooms, and facility management. So where you have to consider people that are differently enabled, so people with disabilities. It's a standard that in every facility we should have a ramp to make it accessible for people that walks on wheelchair. So there should be a ramp for easy accessibility, then a ramp, there should be a connection when they are taking the elevator, and then for utilities such as your restrooms, there should be a signage, adequate signage that specifically shows this is for people with disabilities, and then the type of when you go, when you, when you, when you, when you go to a restroom for people with disability, it is quite different from the restroom with for every other type of people, because ensure that they utilize your restroom, they utilize your facility adequately without endangering their health or making life more difficult for them. So there should be accessibility code. So as facility manager, these are the things we actually have to look out for to ensure that our facility is always running and made available for compliance with standards like ADA. So this is ADA is American Disability Act, or local equivalent. So there are local equivalent to American.
Hello, what's it in? I can barely hear anyone. Hello?
Yes,
All
yes.
right.
So sorry about that. Mr. Chinedu is experiencing network disruption, but he will be joining us again soon. So please bear with us.
So before the diploma, I had been working in facility management for about 5 years and generally groping in the dark, making mistakes, learning from constantly. Now with diploma, my facility management strategy has changed. It's no longer firefighting, but even though that still happens occasionally because life happens. But now I know, okay, so I have different maintenance strategies for different assets that I can put in place and reach the bins before faults happen. Is the best way of practicing facility management. Then also, I know that some of my colleagues, some of my classmates in diploma have gotten promotions or pay rises, and you want to have that too. So literally, I've been exposed. In fact, I've still been exposed. I contribute and I learn by being part of the alumni body. There's a lot. I'm exposed to industry standards. You hear from other people who are wearing the same shoes as you're wearing. So you're not alone. It's big, that sense of community. And I want to thank Mr. Paul and the team of Max-Migold for the wonderful opportunity. And I encourage you to do the same to start the program.
My name is adhering. I work with Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I joined the Max-Migold in January 2022, and which is the diploma program. I enjoyed the program, both the field, practical. There is a practical we wrote at Ikoi. Forgot the name of the address. The plumbing practical. It was also very and.
Hello, everyone. Please, I sincerely sorry for this internet connection. It's really very disruptive, and so let's continue. Let's see how we can finish up. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Mr. Chinedu, go ahead. I can hear you.
We can hear you.
Yeah, so I was talking about how codes encourage use of sustainable materials and high efficiency equipment. Then meeting these requirements lowers operational costs and supports environmental responsibility. So taking this closer to individuals now, then there are times when, as a facility manager, you get so a lot of things get so overwhelming. This is what I've experienced personally. And at that point where you have met a lot of your goals or overcome a lot of those challenges, that's what makes you really feel fulfilled. So meeting all these requirements, really, some of them might really not come so easy. You have to some financial challenges, regulatory challenges, fighting with some stakeholders. But at the point as a facility manager, you meet all these regulatory requirements. Really, it really helps you as a person, the sense of fulfillment you feel, and also these things really helps to lower operational costs in your facilities. Let's say you the example we gave earlier with motion sensor lighting. Motion sensor lighting helps you save a lot of energy because your light is not always on. It only comes off when there is someone at the desk and goes off. As little as it might save you energy, it goes a long way. A month, quarter, years, when you do your financial plus and minus, you would realize that you have actually saved your company a lot of cost by simply just putting in place measures to ensure that all these codes, regulatory requirements are actually met. So that is just what this this thing is talking about. Meeting these requirements lowers operational costs and supports environmental responsibility. So we'll move to the next slide, which is occupational health and safety laws. Occupational health and safety laws protect workers from hazards in the built environment and daily operations. what is the essence of working if you at some point get injured? Yeah, there are occupational hazards, but when you strictly adhere to the laws, you would avoid them to the barest minimum. So that's what this is talking about. The laws, when you adhere to them, it protects workers from hazards in the built environment and their daily operations. It mandates safe working conditions, including ventilation, lighting, and emergency protocols. Requires regulatory safety training, inspection, and incident reporting. We can't really overemphasize the importance of training, inspection, and incident reporting in facility management. So these are actually one of the key things a facility manager should do. Always ensure that you as a facility manager goes for training, and also you train your team as well. Your janitorial teams, you train your maintenance team. Also ensure that at all times you are inspecting and you are taking record of every incident. So what is the importance of taking incident reports? Incident reports helps you to identify problems, hazards, and then you find ways to mitigate them, avoid them entirely. So that is why this is saying it occupational health and safety requires regular safety training, inspection, and incident reporting. Sorry, you can actually unmute your mic and ask questions at any point you want to ask questions. And forces the use of personal protective equipment and safety signage. We the use of PPE, especially in our facilities. I have observed over time that the type
Sorry for the internet connection. Mr. Chinedu keeps getting dropped off. He's trying to reconnect back once again. Please, so sorry, and we apologize for this. Just give us some minutes while we wait for Mr. Chinedu to sort out his internet connection and connect back again. Thank you.
So I have to change my location, so there might be a few echo from where I'm talking to now. Sorry about this intermittent connection and disconnection. I'm sincerely apologizing. Still on occupational health and safety laws. So let's look at the last one. Non-compliance can lead to legal penalties, injuries, and reputational damage. Yeah, okay, I talked about this already. Non-compliance to these codes, laws, and regulations can actually cost you as a facility manager. It can cost your organization. It can cost the stakeholders on this facility. So it is actually very necessary that at all points, we try to put in place and consider all these laws and ensure that there's a running system in our facilities. So we'll move to the next slide. Legal responsibilities of facility managers. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
I
we
can
can
hear
hear
you.
you.
Okay, so pardon the echo at my background. Legal responsibilities of facility managers. As a facility manager, you have to ensure that all facilities, your facility, wherever it is you are managing, comply with building codes, safety, and environmental regulations. It doesn't just mean beyond just we talked about when your facility is not, when there is a hazard or anything, but then it gives you this sense of satisfaction and confidence that you are able to do a lot of things. So it's part of your duty, it's part of your responsibilities, it's binding, it's legally your responsibility to ensure that your facility comply with building codes. If you don't know the building codes, there are ways you can learn these building codes. You can check them online, and then there is FMC already has a course on building code and regulatory maintenance. So this is actually the best place you learn a lot of all these things. Maintain accurate records of inspections, permit, and maintenance activities. That's what we talk about record keeping in facility management documentations. You have to maintain accurate and adequate record keeping. Your inspections, facility audits, maintenance activities, every activity that happens on your site should be duly recorded and documented. As a facility manager, that is your legal responsibility as well. It is also your legal responsibility to coordinate with regulatory authorities during audit and compliance. When an agency is coming for facility audit, maybe it is people in charge of lift maintenance, they want to come and conduct an audit on your lift. You have to ensure that there is adequate documentation of all the activities they are coming to do. As they are taking their own documentations, you also take your own documentation too. You have to coordinate the days they will visit, the day they visited, the day they will do their next visit. So all these things are things that a facility manager should ensure happens on his or her site. Implement policies and training programs to meet occupational health and safety. We've talked about the importance of training. So you have to implement these policies. How often, how frequent do you want to train your staff? That the type of training you want them to go on, weekly, monthly, yearly, quarterly. So these are just observe the gaps and then draft out the type of training that is needed. Liable for negligence or non-compliance that results in injury, damage, or legal actions. This one is really scary, right? So anytime we talk about negligence and liability, it puts shivers in us as facility managers and also everyone's self. So now, if there is a damage, if there's an injury, if there is something, if anything happens on your site, and it was investigated to be as a result of your negligence as a facility manager. Because when you're taking up a job, when you're taking up a role, you are taking up this role as a professional. And as a professional, you should do everything professionally. You should carry out your job professionally and diligently. So if after all due investigation, as a facility manager, you are liable, of course. So that is an aspect that should put you on your feet as a facility manager to ensure that everything happening on your site happens according to rules, laws, regulations, and the codes. Adhere to all these things to avoid legal sanctions for yourself, for your facility, for the facility owners, for your company, for the business entirely. It can come as a result of sanction. It can come as a result of withdrawal of license. It can come as a result of heavy financial penalty. So you will be doing yourself and other stakeholders a favor by simply adhering to these laws and responsibilities. We move to the next slide. Common pitfalls and consequences of non-compliance. Overlooking code updates or applying outdated standards during renovation. So we talked about liability earlier. So this is just telling us the pitfalls, the consequences when you don't comply or when you don't adhere to these laws and regulations. Inadequate documentation of safety checks, permits, and inspections. So when you don't do a proper documentation, there should be a lot of things. So it is actually going to be, non-documentation actually is non-compliance. You have to properly document every activity that is happening on your site. If you don't keep documents as a facility manager, that is part of the things you're doing that are not compliant to codes, regulations, and laws. As a result of your failure to train your staff on compliance-related procedures and responsibilities. If you don't train your staff, if you don't provide training policies, schedule for training is a non-compliance practice. Risk of fines, legal actions, or project shutdown due to violation. Yeah, we talked about how it can be harmful to you. It can be harmful to your organization. It can be harmful to the facility stakeholders. So you risk fine. Like I said earlier, your license can be withdrawn. The business can actually pay a huge fine for not adhering or not complying to laws and operations. Accurate record supports accountability in maintenance, inspection, and corrective actions. So what this is talking about is that, okay, let's talk about documentation proves compliance with building codes, safety standards, and legal requirements. If you have accurate documentation of activities going on your site, it saves you a lot of explanations. So once there is anything, you just have to go to your documents and bring out all the things you've documented about whatever it is that has happened on your facility. Safety standards, the type of safety standard you put in place, and then accurate record supports accountability in maintenance, inspection, and corrective actions. The facts or risks before they escalate into violation or failures. This is telling us that as you do audit on your facility regularly, so facility audit is not something that takes a long time. You can schedule facility audits every 3 months, every 6 months, and some yearly. So when you have this, when you have your facility audited frequently, you can easily spot out things that are not in place. You can easily spot out some gaps that really need to be fixed. So going further to fix them will avoid a lot of escalations or a lot of incidents that might happen along the line. So regularly auditing your facility is really part of what a facility manager should do, because it is very necessary to spot gaps or risks before they escalate into violation or failures. So consistently, if you don't audit your facility, you might not know a lot of things that are going out of date. You might not know a lot of things that are not as they ought to be. Then on a longer time, they might escalate into a very big problem or failure. Let's talk, for example, your fire alarm system. You don't do audit on your fire alarm system, or we have this FM200. You don't do regular audit on your FM200, and then the chemicals inside might have expired, and you don't know. So whenever there is, when there happens to be a fire outbreak, the FM300 will not trigger, and then causes a lot of escalation. So that's a failure as a result of you not adequately auditing your facility. So this is one of the importance of prompt audit, prompt facility audits. Then audit findings guide continuous improvement in facility operations and safety practices, just like what we said before. So when you audit, the things you have seen out of your audit will now guide you on improving facility operations. Well-maintained documentation reduces liability and streamline regulatory review. Yeah, of course. It's not just about documenting, right? It is reviewing these documentations. It's not just about auditing. If you audit without subsequent action, the things you audit will just be there and nobody will fix them. But then revisiting them, audit, take it to the appropriate and adequate stakeholder, then ensure that they are implemented. I would have loved to draw an example from one of the things that happened on the island, but then everyone knows how that went. So that is why once you audit, once you get your document, also ensure that you channel it to the right source, your facility stakeholders, the business, the company, and ensure that they carry out whatever it is that your audit is showing. Let's move to the next slide. How to track changes in codes. So this is how to ensure that you are up to date with changes in codes and regulations. Here, regulation changes. When we started, we talked about the history of regulation and how it came about. So as time goes on, things changes, and also the codes would have to change. Let's say zoning. Let's give an example, like a wide example, like zoning, facility zoning, and all those things. Then, if the government might say, okay, this area of this neighborhood, do I want to use it for something else, not longer residential, we want to convert it to industrial. So that zoning has changed. So as a facility manager, a lot of things might change. A lot of regulations governing use of our facilities might change. So we also need to keep up with these regulations and changes to ensure that we adequately update on whatever it is that has changed. So one of these ways is you subscribe to official bulletins and newsletters from regulatory bodies and standard organizations. Join professional associations like IFMA, or professional associations like AFMP, and other bodies. You can join them to when they have their weekly meetings, monthly meetings, however they meet, they update on the current trend in the industry. Attend industry conferences, webinars, and workshops focused on compliance and emerging standards. Consult regularly with code consultants, legal advisors, or local authorities. So these are just a few of the ways that you regulations, not just keeping track, not just knowing them. So once you observe that there's a change, you also implement that also in your facility. We move to the next slide. Working with code consultants and inspectors. Engage code consultants early in design, renovation, or compliance planning to avoid costly rework. So I had a personal experience with this. Sometimes someone contacted me to do an audit on their facility while they were still, okay, they have done up to 70% of the construction. Then I came and I saw a lot of things that weren't really properly considered as in the aspect of maintenance and durability of what they are doing. So I told them, gave them a lot of reasons they need to outdo that type of design and redesign. So along the line, the construction team, we are more involved, we are more concerned about aesthetics. So they used some certain designs that are very really maintenance friendly. 3 years into the life cycle of the property, it starts, to maintain something was so difficult for them. Then they have to start spending a lot of money. Eventually, they have to change that entirely. So one of the ways is adequately engage code consultants during the construction stage. Collaborate with inspectors during routine audits to ensure all systems meet legal standards. When you have these agencies come to audit your property, when they come to audit your facility, it's not just about them coming to audit. Yeah, there has to be a collaboration. There has to be an understanding between you and them to ensure that all the systems leverage their expertise to interpret complex codes and apply them correctly to your facility. So this is talking about no one knows it all, right? So there are things that we might actually even know it's a regulation, it's a code, it's a law. But then once you collaborate with them, they can now put you through more. So you leverage their expertise and interpret complex codes that applies correctly to your facility. Use your feedback. Use their feedback to strengthen documentation safety practice, and corrective actions. This goes further to tell us not just all about the audits, about the documentation, but then implementation. So when they come, give you feedbacks, you utilize them and use it to better the practice in your facility. Then build a proactive relationship to stay informed about upcoming changes and expectations. Yeah, create a cordial relationship. Whoever it is, the auditors, stakeholders. As a facility manager, you have to be in between, the middleman amongst all these people to ensure that new changes are implemented. And then you are informed about upcoming changes and also expectations. We move to the next slide, which is talking about leveraging technology for compliance management. The use of compliance management softwares to track inspections, certifications, and also code requirements. So there are a lot of maintenance and compliance softwares out there that we can utilize. We have the BIM, we have the CMM, we have other ones that are coming up. There are IoTs. Then we can also, we can use all these things to ensure that our buildings are code compliance. Automate reminders and workflow for renewals, audits, and corrective actions. So we know all about automations. So there should be regular reminders. If you want to carry everything on your head, you might eventually forget some critical things. So there should be automation. There should be automation to remind you of the things that really need to be done. So let's say you have to carry out a PPM at every 2 weeks, you need to maintain a particular asset. So automating it does automatic reminder that in 3 days' time, this asset is due for maintenance. Digitize documentation for easy access during inspection and regulatory reviews. This is about digitization. Yeah, everything is going digital now. So you also you can use your notepads, you can use software that upkeep, you can use as little as Excel, Microsoft documents, as much as possible, digitize all these things. Then integrate sensors and IoT devices to monitor real-time compliance with safety and environmental standards. Yeah, sensors and Internet of Things. Generate reports and analytics to identify risk gaps and areas for improvement. One good thing about when you digitize things is a lot of things can also come out of that. So there are some software that can give you a deep or in-depth analysis of the result they are bringing. Let for example, some people who are very proficient with Excel. Excel can give you a bar chart or can demonstrate results or analyze data in a better way to make it more understanding. So what you might really not get bigger understanding of, when you input it in Excel and export it as data, it can analyze this properly for you to understand, have an in-depth knowledge of what really is happening on the side. A typical example is, let's say you are putting in how often you maintain maybe 5 types of assets in your facility. You have done this for a year. Then if you are proficient with Excel, you can use it to create to analyze how often these assets are maintained. So Excel will now tell you the type of asset, the particular asset that you maintain more, the particular asset that you spend more money on. When you give Excel all this data, it can analyze it for you and push it out as they call it data visualization. Yeah, you can now visualize the real data you give to this thing and know where to put more effort and where to maybe you minimize cost on this and add it to this, or however it is, to save money and time. Creating a compliance checklist. So the next slide, slide 15. List all applicable codes and regulations by category. Example, fire safety, HVAC accessibility. Include required inspections. This is how you create a compliance checklist. All the applicable codes, you leave them out. Then the required inspections, the type of maintenance and documentations, also include deadlines. Like I said, how often you maintain some assets, you list them out. This will guide you on when necessary and when to carry out your maintenance. Assign responsibility to specific teams or contractors or contracts for each of them. When you have listed out all these things, of course, you cannot tell a plumber to do the job of an electrician. Yeah. So this is telling you that if you have listed all these things, you know the assets you have in your facility, you know the different type of regulations and the codes. Then you now assign responsibilities to your team and also instruct them on what you do and what is expected of them. Schedule regular reviews and updates to keep the checklist aligned with new regulations. We talked about new regulations. Use digital tools or templates for easy tracking, alerts, and accountability. That's about the automation. Training and empowering your team. Provide ongoing training on building codes, safety standards, and compliance protocols. So earlier we talked about the importance of training your team. So you have to ensure that you provide a schedule for your team training to help them understand what codes are and also the requirements and also how to comply to the protocols that are required. Encourage certification and professional development to build regulatory knowledge. Yeah, you have to ensure that your team are also certified, because certification is a proof that they have actually undergone this particular type of training, and also a growth process for them as well. Assign clear rules and responsibility related to compliance tasks and reporting. One of the major problems to have currently is when we assign roles, we don't communicate what is expected. So this is telling you clear roles and responsibilities. You assign roles to your team and communicate your expectations at the end of the job. So by the time this job is done, this is what I am expecting. Be clear, be vocal, and be transparent with job assignments. Foster a culture of accountability and continuous improvement across the team. Equip staff with digital tools to support real-time tracking and informed decision-making. That takes over to digitization and also automation. This company really does that a lot, where they do collaboration with their lift maintenance team and also the ones at their office. So this helps them to understand the actual nature of all the escalations. So if you have really worked with OT before, you know where they are maintaining, they are communicating the issues to their people, maybe the people at the higher office or people that are making the decisions. So that's what it's talking about. Equip your staff with digital tools to support real-time tracking and informed decision-making. Emergency preparedness and its connection to regulatory requirements. Regulations mandate emergency plans for fire, natural disaster, and hazardous events. Compliance includes clear evacuation routes, signage, and safety equipment. So let's go to this regulation and the mandate about emergency plans. Let's say in a very big facility, it is required that there is emergency preparedness. What happens when there is an emergency? How prepared are you? Do you have designated signposts that where people should gather, or it's called a muster point? In the case of any emergency, where are people running to? Where are people gathering? So there should be a designated area. There should be signages as to how people will maneuver their ways in a case of any hazard or emergency. So when there is a hazard in the facility, let's say a fire outbreak or something, or even as little as alarm, would put people in panic mode. And when people are panicky, they don't reason rationally again. So there should be emergency preparedness. There should be a plan to have people organized during an emergency. Then compliance includes clear evacuation, signages, and safety equipment. Do you have signages directing people on how to run, emergency exits when there is an emergency? Do you even have equipment to fight these emergencies? Regular drills and training are required to ensure staff readiness and code adherence. That is drills and training. Fire safety drills, let them know what to do when there is a fire emergency. Emergency system allows sprinklers, backup. So that's what it's talking about. Do you even have the equipment to fight this emergency when they happen? So these must meet specific code and standards. Preparedness supports legal, insurance, and safety obligations, reducing what? Liability and risk. So if you are prepared in the case of emergency, you will reduce a lot of risk and liability for you and for your operation. So in conclusion, understanding building codes is essential for safety, legal compliance, to serious consequences, including fines, shutdown, and legal risks. So we talked about this earlier. So when you don't comply, so a lot of things, compliance has a very ripple effect, a long ripple effect. Just the simplest thing you think doesn't really matter in compliance would escalate to unimaginable things. It can lead to shutdown of business. That is loss of revenue. The business, they can shut your business and they can seize your license. Legal actions, you can be imprisoned, you can do jail times just because you fail to adhere to a simple legal and regulatory compliance. Facility managers play a key role in ensuring ongoing adherence through planning and oversight. Technology, training, and expert partnership strengthens your compliance framework. Yeah, you have to regularly go for trainings. You have to regularly meet with people that share the same profession with you. Go for webinars, go for compulsory professional development. And staying informed and proactive builds safer, smarter, and more resilient facilities. It is necessary that you are proactive. Proactivity is one of the required skills for a facility manager. Always see things before they happen. You have to be informed at all times. It helps you build safer and smarter. This was a very long class, more than what we expected due to network issues. So once again, I apologize for the network issues we had earlier. And the fact that I had to rush this class just to meet up with time and then make it a monologue really wasn't very sweet for me. I would always love to have a class where people dialogue, we think ideas, we talk, and it fosters understanding. But as it is, I hope we truly understand all that I've talked about. If you have questions, I don't know if we have like 5 minutes to share ideas or ask our questions before we end the session. Hello, can someone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you, Mr. Chinedu.
All right, so with all what we have said so far, I don't know if there are questions that really need to be answered, there are concerns. We can just spare 4 minutes or less to get it sorted. So I believe everyone understood what we talked about. No questions. So the coordinator, I don't know if I can, just to ensure that people understood what I talked about, maybe pose 1 or 2 questions to everyone here and see how we can attempt that. Can that work?
Okay. You can go ahead, just maybe a question because of time, sir.
All right. So yeah, so the question doesn't necessarily mean that you have to answer it now. So it's just something that you can now go on your own, do your research, and also have a lot of information. So the ADA Act, so ADA is American Disability Act. I would really appreciate that we individually go and look at what American Disability Act is talking about and how it is encouraging inclusiveness in our facilities. So go read that up and also see the areas where your facility is lacking in the aspect of inclusivity and inclusivity for people with different disabilities. So that is what I would encourage each and every one of us in this class to go and look into. And when you have seen that, you can now come and prefer some necessary ideas to your organization, and also ensure that your books are clear on your facility audit, your compliance, your compliance policies, training schedule for your team, and everything that is needed to have a smooth, hazard-free, and efficient running facility. Thank you very much for your patience and also for your attentiveness. So at this point, I think I am good, and that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chinedu. And this brings us to the end of today's lunch hour. We'll meet same time, same channel next week. Thank you so much for attending today's lunch hour.
Thank you.